Hey, what is up, guys? Bluntguts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I really appreciate it. I am going to go through the weekend's banners real quick. This is one of, if not the best summoning weekends that we have ever had in Watcher of Realms. Real quick, take a second, hit that thumbs up button, like this video, toss me a sub if you are not already subscribed. It's a free way to support the channel. I would really appreciate it. Let's dive in. Again, I am going to be real quick, but where else could we start except for with Wukong? Badass, Nightmare, Watchguard, Monkey Man. He is coming to global servers finally. He is going to be one of, if not the best fighters in the game immediately as soon as he hits global. I can't say enough good things about this guy. I am going to have a bunch of content linked in the description of this video. I'm not going to go through his skills right now. I'm just going to talk about his awakenings real quick, because as far as pulling is concerned, that is really the only question, is how much are you going to pull? Because you need to get at least a base copy of him. I don't care who you are. I don't care what progression level you are in the game. He is a must pull. Get a copy of him, even if you don't think you need him. That way, if you do decide later on, and I think you probably will at some point, if you do decide that you do want to get him more awakenings later on, you can use soul stones on him, things like that. But if you don't have a copy of him, then you are stuck without him until the next time his banner rolls around. And who knows? That could be a year at this point. We really have no idea. So is that likely? No, but it could be. Maybe they wait until Chinese New Year next year. Who knows? So I would just grab a copy. Make sure you're not without him. You're going to regret it if you don't have him, I think. Let's take a look at the awakenings real quick. So the first one is amazing for GVG and potentially maybe an arena as well, but it basically means that anybody within 2 tiles after the first time he uses his ultimate does get a guaranteed res when they do take fatal damage one time. They're going to get res with a 50% HP. It's great. It's fantastic. I say res. They're not res. They don't lose rage or anything like that. It prevents fatal damage and heals them for 50%. So really, really nice. Really cool utility skill. A2 is 300 attack. It is nice for him, but not crazy. The A3 basically gives some of his skills to the clones that he tosses out on the field. It includes stun, so you get some CC. It's also going to massively increase his damage and give him more armor ignore, which is just wonderful. And the A4, 8% penetration, really, really solid. Fantastic. Love that awakening. Finally, the A5 is, quite honestly, possibly the best A5 in the entire game. It doubles the damage of his ultimate, quite literally doubles it. Typically, his ultimate does 18 hits. This is going to make it do 36. So 36 hits of damage. It's going to increase his Undaunted Might stack cap by 25. It goes from 5% damage to 30% potential damage. It is nuts. And then finally, as if that wasn't enough, it is also going to increase his proc-based ability, Golden Cudgel Strike, to a 60% total trigger chance for 12 seconds after using the ultimate. The ultimate cycles really quickly, so you might be surprised. You're only going to spend maybe 20 to 25 seconds in between ultimates anyway, so a big percentage of that is going to be covered by this 12-second period. It's so good. It is so goddamn good. All of it's really good, but the A5 is like where it's at. I'm not telling you need to pull like crazy to do that, but God, if you have the means to do so, he is somebody who's definitely only gets better with more awakening. So I would definitely recommend that you pull for him. Honestly, I am going to be pulling all my summons on Wukong. Aeris, who I'm going to talk about next, is kind of an afterthought at this point. So let's take a look at Aeris, though. This dude is, he's good. He's kind of like Valkyra 2.0. Very, very similar. You can see the attack range up here is very similar to Valkyra. He's got some cool skills. Really do like the things that he brings to the table. And I think on any other weekend, I would be all about pulling hard for him, at least to get an A1 for him, because that is a pretty big awakening. So let's go take a look at the awakenings here and talk about how many awakenings you really do want to get here. So the A1 increases basic attack range by 1. Also, Golden Trammel inflicts damage reduction on enemies. Golden Trammel basically gives it during the ultimate in his attack range. It slows enemies. So think like Valkyra provides a magic resist debuff to enemies that are in her attack range. This is similar, except he slows them, and now he's also going to provide a damage reduction to them, which is big for GVG. It is a 20% damage reduction, so nothing to sneeze at. Very, very, very nice. The A2 is plus 300 attack, which is fantastic for him. You want that to be flat attack versus 5% attack in his case because of how high his attack is. And then A3, during the ultimate, Mighty Thrust deals an extra 100% damage one time. Now, I haven't released my damage video yet. I will be doing that tomorrow, so please do check that out. What I did find was that this was a very minor damage upgrade, so I don't think that this one is all that important to get. A4, the trend lately, 8% penetration, no complaints there. It is the best A4 that they have in the game for damage dealers. Really important for him and does really help him out. And then finally, the A5, Mighty Thrust and Destiny's Decree ignore 20% of the target's magic resistance. So, really cool. 20% magic resist ignore on some of his most damaging abilities is amazing. You know, one thing I will say, it's not all of his damage, and it is. I just don't know that it's worth going to A5 for, honestly. I think this is a hero that you probably could get to A1, and you're getting like 90% of his potential that way. I don't know that you really need to continue pulling, at least immediately. You know, collect Awakenings over time, but, you know, unless you're like an endgame whale or something like that, this is not somebody that you really need. I think this guy's spot is largely going to be in GVG, in particular in Esotericist or Watchguard comps. Esotericist in particular, his ultimate is going to be at 450 rage cost when he is paired with Cyrus, and that is just crazy. I mean, it's so low, it's going to be impossible to avoid. And oh, did I mention, just like Valkyria, he can't hit air units when he is not using his ultimate. When he does trigger his ultimate, all of a sudden he can hit air units. So it's going to be really hard to dodge that. I love him. I think you need him A1. Not only do you get the extra attack range, making him giving him a 4 attack range and also 5 during the ultimate, but you're also going to get a damage reduction for units that during that ultimate as well. It's just really good. He's got a really great GVG skill set, and I think that if you are a serious GVG player, I do think that he is somebody that you want to go for. I'm sorry I'm not going further into detail on the skills, but I do have a video out, which I will link in the description of this video, that goes through all of his skills and awakenings, and please be on the lookout for the damage test that I will be putting out tomorrow to compare him to Valkyria. Next up, who do we have here? Well, we got Setram. I think a lot of us know what Setram does. I'm not really going to go into depth on him. I'm not going to go awakening by awakening. Setram is a good hero. He has been power crept a bit at this point. I think he is somebody that you want in your account. I don't think that given the other options this weekend, Wukong in particular, that he is really worth pulling for specifically. Now, if you want to go for Aeris, do some pity manipulation, something like that, I could see wanting to, picking up a Setram would not be the worst thing in the world. But if you have no interest in Aeris, I wouldn't pull on this banner just to get Setram. Setram, again, is good, although I think that his most relevant spot right now is probably, again, in GVG, not as a hero that you deploy in a defense, but as a hero that you affiliate for his battle power. But again, he's been kind of power crept, and the only time that you're really going to be doing that these days is if you either have a very limited roster or you have him very highly awakened. If he's A3+, then you are going to be getting into the territory where he might be competitive with some of the higher BP units in the game, at least ones that are lower awakened. I think once you start stacking awakenings on like Uridin or Jira or Maw, for example, then you do end up getting significantly higher than where Setram is. So, I just wouldn't pull for him specifically, but he's a great hero, and there's certainly nothing wrong with him. Let's take a look at this Ancient banner here, because, oh my god, as if the other stuff wasn't enough, as if Wukong wasn't enough, they're also on Sunday going to be putting out the best Ancient banner by far that we've ever seen in this entire game. I do think, I said it at the time, and I still think that the banner that we had 2 weeks ago with Praetus and Uridin was the better banner on the whole, simply by virtue of the fact that I think Praetus is a better hero overall than Ingrid. But if you're talking specifically about GVG or really even PvP content, I do think that Ingrid is the stronger of the two. Praetus is amazing. He's probably better maybe at Arena, I guess you could say, but the two of them together is really what you want. So if you don't have one or the other, you want to make sure that you get both if you can. I recently got Praetus and paired him with my Ingrid, and oh my god, it is a different world. There's just so many things that I can do in like Arena and GVG that I couldn't do before. I love it. It's fantastic. And in multiple different ways also. It's not just about one kind of arena. They're good in all the different arena modes. Single target, I guess they're not top of the heap. You kind of need a Valderon to get into Apex with single target arena, but as far as anti-air and AoE, they are the best in the game. The combo of the two of them is just unbeatable right now, or very hard to beat, I should say. There's some really good teams otherwise as well, but they are by far the meta right now. And then in GVG on defense, they are both incredible. They're also really like two of the strongest affiliation units in the game. So you really can't go wrong. If you don't have an Ingrid, I really think you should be pulling for her. She is one of the few heroes in the game that I would recommend that you use those regular, as in not the unpolished, but the just regular legendary soul stones. It's her, Praetus. You can make an argument for Valderon. I don't really know who else there is that you should be using those on, honestly. Unless you have them A5. I don't know. I might be pulling for an Ingrid this weekend just because I'd like to get her to A5, and I've got one Lord Soulstone. I've got her at A3 currently. But if you were looking at Awakenings, which would be kind of crimey, you must be a whale if you're thinking about Awakenings. Unless you already got her awakened by Soulstones or something like that. We can talk through them real quick. The A1 is largely just a buff to her single target damage. It is not something that I would really be all that concerned about. It comes into play primarily, I would say, in boss content like GB1, some of the codexes, things like that. I said GB1. I meant Guild Boss 2, actually, because nobody really cares about Guild Boss 1 at this point in the game. The A2 is 300 attack. It is nice, but it's not crazy. You know, just kind of pretty standard. So the A3 is the best awakening by far for her. This is where I stopped. I put 3 soul stones into her when I pulled her initially, and it has served me very, very well. The A4 and the A5 are nice, but if you can get her to A3, you're getting like 99% of Ingrid's potential. So during Solar Overload and Stellar Overload, reduces the number of basic attacks required by the talent to trigger Solar Flare and Star Shower to 1. So typically, what she needs to do is every 5th attack, she does kind of a mega attack, a huge attack with her basic attack. And it is very, very powerful. The A3, instead of doing it every 5th attack, she is going to do it every 2nd attack. And that is massive. You know, not always. Obviously, she has to build up to it. But it is very, very powerful. It is some of the strongest bursts in the game, and it really separates and makes things much more difficult in a lot of these competitive game modes for the opposition. So I think if you can get her there, that is where you like the target. I wouldn't feel compelled to pull past that, but, you know, you can be a crazy person like me. I think I'm going to be pulling even though I don't really need her. And I'm going to see if I can't get 1 copy so I can justify dumping a Soulstone into her to make her A5. The A4 is 8% penetration. Like I've said on the other heroes, this is the one you want. This is fantastic. The A5, Solar Flare, ignores 25% magic resistance. Solar Flare is her big, wide AoE damage that she does. It is kind of her defining skill. It's really good. This 25% magic resist is really going to come into play largely in Arena and in GVG. If you are not a fan of either of those game modes, then that's not something you really need to worry all that much about. I don't think that there's any place else in the game that you really need this, but it is very potent in those areas. So if you are kind of in, say, like Overlord GVG, if you are in Apex Overlord in Arena, then that is something that you might want to consider. It's part of the reason why I'm trying to justify getting her up to A5. The other reason would be that her BP increases dramatically as well. And so if you're affiliating her to Demon Soldiers as an attacker, then it's really going to help you out a lot as well in that way. So I would say if you can get her to A3, you should be happy with that. Even just getting her period, you should be happy with that. She is probably the 2nd best hero in the game, and that's not to really place her that much below Praetus. Praetus is 1A, she's 1B. There are people that argue about whether or not she might be the best. I think it's in Arena and GVG, she is definitely the better hero, in my opinion. So in any case, let's go take a look at Ardea, who is just like, we're just going through all the all-stars right now. Ardea is insane. Very, very cool hero. I love everything about her, but you don't really need awakenings on her. She is a long-range ground-based fighter, does AoE damage, really, really cool. I was talking about Aeris before. He's kind of like a magic counterpart to Ardea, but that is not doing Ardea justice because Ardea does way more damage than Aeris does. She's also a chaotic unit, meaning that you can pair her with Valderon and Gon and get some really, really crazy comps together using Ardea. She's also really good in GVG defense. Not an affiliation hero, even with BP, or excuse me, even with Awakenings, but very, very strong. So let's go through the Awakenings real quick, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think they're all that important. They're not bad. They're just not, considering that Ancients are such a limited resource, I wouldn't say that you wanted to pull for her specifically, but she is still really, really good. So the A1, when the hero deals damage with her Circular Blades, she inflicts defense reduction on the target. The Circular Blades are a proc-based thing, so this may not be up consistently, but it does when her health is low and when she's in the ultimate window, she does do the Circular Blades more often, so theoretically, you should be getting the defense reduction at a time when you need it the most. The problem is, it's only 10%. And while that can be significant, especially in content where there is really high defense on the enemy units, it's just, there's much stronger debuffs out there. And if you're running her with like a Torador or really any other unit that does defense reduction, it's likely that they are going to have a stronger version of this and they don't stack. So you might not actually be getting anything out of the A1 in a lot of situations. That's my perspective. This plus 300 attack is nice, but you have to remember that she has almost 8,000 base attack on her own. So relative to other heroes, this is a much smaller increase to her base attack. Now, it's still going to help. Still a good thing, you know. More attack is better. It is going to get multiplied by all the attack bonus substats that you do, and main stats for that matter, that you do have on your gear. But it's just a lower amount relative to her total base attack than most heroes. So, you know, it would be much better if it was 5% attack. I think that I make that distinction a lot of the time when I'm going through these Awakenings on different heroes. On her, it actually matters a lot more than the other ones because her base attack is so goddamn high. The A3, during the frenzy state, killing an enemy increases the duration of the state by 1 second up to 10 seconds. But the problem is that she only has a 15-second ultimate duration, which means that to really max this out, you're going to need a big pile of enemies that are going to die quickly right in front of her during the ultimate. And, you know, it's just, I just don't think it adds as much as other Awakenings that we see on other heroes. Now, you're going to be pulling for Ingrid anyway, so if you get Ardea Awakenings, like, that's just like the cherry on top. I wouldn't be worried about it. It's not bad. I wouldn't be like rooting against getting them. It's just not going to make her crazy in a way that, you know, that some other Awakenings and other heroes might, but it's still a solid Awakening. There's just nothing that really like wows you about it. And then this one actually is pretty, 8% penetration is pretty big on a hero that already has such massive attack. She already is outscaling enemy defense on pretty much every unit in the game. That means that this 8% penetration is going to make her that much more potent. That is really, really nice. And then the A5, after the release, Circular Blade returns, immediately regenerates 15 rage. This is nice. Again, proc-based, so it might be inconsistent. And then the other thing is that, you know, she's already got a pretty low rage cost ultimate. It's nice to be able to work back around to it more quickly. The ultimate's kind of a double-edged sword because it reduces her health too. So I don't know. You know, you want consistency there, I think, particularly with autos. But there's an argument to be said that in GVG, inconsistency makes it harder for the opponent as well. So I don't know. You know, whatever it may be. It's not bad. Take your own determination. Like I said, I don't think they're bad. I just don't think that there's something that you really want to pursue. And that is my summary of the weekend. It's a big one. Honestly, I think that this is the time to dump all your summons. I would say if you're looking to save, maybe save some divines. I think we've got some good heroes that are probably going to be coming out in the next month or two as well. But I think that all of your blue summons should be going on to the WUKONG banner. I think if you are interested in Aeris, you're probably better off waiting until Saturday so you can pity manipulate. I don't think I can do that personally. I'm so excited for WUKONG. I'm going to pull tomorrow, and I'm going to hope, even though it would probably not be better for me, I'm going to hope I get an early WUKONG, which would justify me just going further. But really what you'd like to do is pity manipulate, meaning that you'd pull up to about 185 since your last legendary, and then switch over onto the Aeris banner. Hope you get an Aeris, and then if not, you know, even if you do, you switch back onto WUKONG, get that guaranteed WUKONG at 200 summons, and then just keep pulling all of your blue summons on WUKONG, and hope you get as many Awakenings as possible. Personally, I would like to get 4 copies of Wukong. I've got 2 unpolished soul stones that would make him a 5. It's unlikely, but I am going to have like 1,300 summons. So, you know, if luck is on my side, it's certainly within the realm of possibility. We will see how it goes. As far as the Ingrid banner, I would just pull if you don't have Ingrid, I would just pull everything on it, especially if you don't have Ingrid and Ardea. That would be... This is just an incredible banner. Both of these heroes are like triple S tier. They are 2 of the best heroes in the game for their unit type. You don't want to miss out on this. If you don't have either of them, you definitely want to be pulling. And I would say pursuing Awakenings on Ingrid is going to pay dividends for you. So if you have Soul Stones, I would definitely dump them into Ingrid. I would keep that in mind. So like if you have 3 regular Soul Stones that you can use to upgrade Ingrid to a 3, I would be very happy with 1 copy. And if you already had Ardea, for example, I might stop right there. But, you know, it's up to you. You got to make these determinations, but have a plan going in so you don't overpull. Ancients are so rare. You want to make sure that you are saving them. We have a Nightmare, Ancient exclusive, Legendary Lord that is going to be released at some point, probably in the next 1 to 3 months. We don't know, but we've started to hear some whispers from the leakers about him. So, you know, you don't want to be caught flat-footed for that. This is the kind of banner that they might put out there to try to tempt you into using all of the summons that you have saved so that they can then drop that hero on you in like a couple weeks, a month, in order to really make you feel like you need to spend. So I would keep that in mind. Don't pull more Ancients just because. I've done that before, and I usually regret it. In any case, guys, like I said, I will be summoning tomorrow. Please tune into that video. It should be an exciting one with all of the summons that I do have saved up at this point. I can't wait. Looking forward to seeing how you all do as well. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what your plan is. What are you pulling for? Are you gonna wait till Saturday? I don't think I can. I don't think I can do it. But that is the smart thing to do. Pity manipulate. See if you can't snag an Aeris as well. In any case, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Good luck tomorrow. I will catch you all next time.